What's going on, guys? Mac here, bringing you a wonderful video about something that just occurred to me this morning. I was in the middle of a morning walk. I didn't really run this morning. I've been having some knee troubles, it seems like. So I was walking, and it suddenly occurred to me that today or tomorrow, one of those 2 days, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it marks the start of the 2-year mark that I quit tobacco products. And just a little bit of background: I used to dip, and I also smoked occasionally. So I did both. I mean, I'll admit it. I smoked and I dipped. I dipped more regularly back in the past. I dipped all throughout since I basically turned 18. I basically was dipping before I turned 18, but that's neither here nor there. But I basically dipped all throughout my military career and all the way up until let's see, about a year or so. Let's see, almost, I would say close to maybe 10 years. 10 years is about. I dipped for about 10 years consistently. Now, I did have spurts of moments where I did stop dipping completely. I remember one time I got back from AT and I didn't dip for a whole month because I guess during that AT trip I dipped so much that it hurt my lip, and I just didn't feel like dipping for a whole month. So I stopped dipping for a whole month, but I picked it back up. And I also had a spurt where I quit dipping for a while when the wife was pregnant, because I swore to myself that I would stop dipping when I started having kids, and I did for a while. However, I did smoke in between there, bum some cigarettes off the boss, but I did quit for a little bit there. I smoked here and there in between, but then I picked back up dipping after the kid was born and after a while. And then a little bit before, I can't remember why I decided to quit dipping. I was driving to work one day and I had a dip bottle in my hand. I had a dip in, and my lip just started hurting. If you guys don't dip, then you guys know that it starts hurting occasionally. So I didn't. So I spit it out. I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna stop today. I'm just not gonna worry about it today. And I also kicked the smoking habit at the same time, because mainly I did smoke, but it wasn't like I go out there, buy a pack of cigarettes and smoke. No, it was more along the lines, if somebody had a cigarette, I'd smoke with them. But I didn't smoke per se myself. I mainly dipped. So I decided to start, I went that whole day without dipping, and I was like, okay, all right, well, I went that whole day without dipping. Then I went the next day without dipping. Then I went the next day without dipping. And you start having like physical withdrawal effects very shortly after. The mental always will come first, and it always lasts longer. But the physical effects started coming in. Well, I was like, all right, well, it's been a few days since I had the dip, and I got a knocking on headache. It's like my face feels kind of funky because I haven't had any nicotine in a while, and I just decided, all right, well, I'm gonna put a dip in. I think I maybe had that dip in particular for about maybe 30 seconds because it upset my stomach for some odd reason. I don't know if it was because the can was bad, or just because I haven't smelt dip in like 3 days, or I don't know what it was, or I didn't eat anything, or there could be a number of different things with it. But needless to say, it's made me feel worse than what I was feeling before. So I immediately spit it out. It's like I felt like I was about to almost throw up at that point. And I was like, all right, well, I guess this time I'm actually going to give it a shot to quit. And that's what I did. And I did have the physical withdrawals, and then I had a lot. This time around, the mental withdrawals were not as bad as they were in the past when I did quit dipping at the time, because a lot of the mental withdrawals I had a lot of mental withdrawals that I had in the past, what prevented me from dipping was, well, one was the, when I quit for that whole entire month, was, what stopped me from dipping again was because I was afraid my mouth was going to hurt. Okay, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to wait, let it fully heal up, you know, just stop. So that's what prevented me from doing it, but I still wanted to dip. And that second time, what made it more difficult to want to dip, or what made it more difficult to kick that habit, was because, yes, I was smoking in between, and people around me were dipping. So that kind of like just stopped it. So now that I work where I work at, nobody I work with dips. There's occasionally people that smoke, but I'm not around them enough to where it actually bothers me or affects me in that way. So this time around, my mental withdrawals were not that bad. In fact, mentally, it pushed me away from doing any tobacco products. It seemed like in my head, when I think, you know, man, now would be a good time for a dip. Because, for instance, I would dip when I get in the vehicle and start driving, because it's a long drive, it gives you something to do. And there you go. There's something that can keep you occupied, spinning while you're driving. Well, in my head, when my body was so conditioned to, you know, immediately right after I get in the vehicle, pack the can, grab one out, then start driving on. Now, during that time, my body was still wanting to do that motion because it was very familiar with that motion. However, in my mind was like, no, hell no, I don't want this. And then eventually, it seemed like my mind tricked my body into got to the point where if I start smelling tobacco product, if I start smelling it, dip in particular, cigarettes don't really affect me so much. I didn't really, I wasn't really like a pack smoker. Like I said, I was a bum smoker, so I didn't really have a bad habit on that end. But the actual dipping part I did, and it ended up being to where it's like, if I smell tobacco, it makes me sick. Like, if it legit makes me sick. I don't have a problem you know, people doing tobacco around me. It does not bother me. It's more along the lines of when you open up the can and you grab the can like this, and you do this motion, and you do this. That's like right now, it is making me physically like feel bad, and even though I don't have a dip in front of me. And that's what it started doing, is like, it was just like, I would just imagine myself sitting down like this, packing that can, doing that motion, and then all of a sudden, like as of right now, I feel a little bit ill from it. And it just continued on. It still continues on. And that's what led me to not doing any tobacco for 2 years. Two years at this point. And honestly, it's actually been a real good. Now, we all know the adverse health effects of tobacco usage. We all know it's bad to do tobacco use. You know, it's bad to use tobacco products. You know, it's just like it's bad to drink every day. That sort of deal. We all know the adverse effects of tobacco products. We all know that. You've heard about it for the past, I don't know, 20 years. It seems like, you know, cancer, you rot your mouth out. You know, you wake up and it's harder to breathe, etc., etc. We all know the adverse effects of tobacco. Let's not beat around the bush here. We all know the adverse effects. But I'm telling you, quitting the tobacco, or quitting tobacco products in particular, not only have been helpful for my mental health, because honestly, I can't really see any benefits to my mental health right now, or even after 2 years, I don't really see the mental, or the physical benefits to it, like lowered heart rates and etc., etc., except for like the mouth part, where, you know, it started less hurting and my teeth feel cleaner, etc. But like you know, people say, oh, your heart rate lowers after a certain amount of time you quit smoking, etc., etc. I don't see that. I didn't really see that type of effect. mainly because I was still very physically active. I still watched my diet and stuff. That was I would say tobacco was probably the worst habit I did, the worst and only real particular habit I did during the during my life. I mean, I don't really drink sodas. I drink black coffee. I drink, but occasionally. I don't drink heavily. I typically, I will eat bad food every now and then, but typically I eat very healthily. I eat very carefully. And, you know, and I work out, you know, at least 3 times minimal during the week. And so, like, physically, like heart rate, blood pressure, things of that nature, I didn't really see any, like, positive effects from quitting the tobacco products because because I trained my body. So, but I do know that there are positive effects after quitting that lead to better health results. I do know that much. And I also know that a lot of people go through different kinds of withdrawals too. Like I said, when I fully quit this time around and haven't done it in 2 years, I didn't really have, I had a slight physical withdrawal from, for me, it was a weird tingling phase, like a tingling numb feeling and a smaller headache from the withdrawal, but that only lasted maybe 2-3 days at most. And then the mental effects were even, for a lot of people, that's where things start varying. The physical effects are going to, it seems like it's universal across the board. You're going to have headaches, you're going to have physical shakes, you're going to be irritable, etc., etc. It's the mental effects that seem like it affects me. I wasn't really irritable either during this time for some odd reason. I was just like, I wouldn't even say annoyed, I was just like, eh. Because I kept thinking even if I did do it, I'd be sick. So I didn't have. But however, the mental effects are different. Let me go back. The mental effects are different. The mental effects, for me, this time around weren't really as, you know, you gotta fucking dip, you gotta smoke, you gotta put some nicotine in me. My brain just didn't recognize that. Like I said, my brain actually worked against the nicotine, against tobacco products, saying, hey, if you fucking do this, you're gonna throw up. And hell, that helped. This time, those mental effects help. Now, when you're doing tobacco, when you're doing things of that nature, you're into a habit. You get into a habit. Like, for instance, you start getting into the habit of, I guess they're fixing that. You get into the habit of, you know, getting into your vehicle, start a cigarette, or putting a dip in, or getting out of your vehicle after you eat lunch. You start getting into habits of doing tobacco at certain times and everything like that. And what happens is when you quit, your body, your mind does not like that you break the habit. Does not like that you are stopping this type of normalcy type habit. Now, this isn't coupled with the force of nicotine into the bloodstream and like making you, basically inducing like an addict type state. You know, it's neurons. There's a bunch of different science with it. You could look it up, but basically, it's your body's way of saying, why the fuck did you break habit? What the fuck is wrong with you is what your body's saying to you. Okay? So your body tries coping with it in different ways. Sometimes it goes from, if you're fully committed to the quitting of the nicotine and habits and stuff like that, and you're in an environment that is very positive to saying stop, then you'll notice that a lot of people who do quit tend to gain weight because they need to do something to occupy the time that the habit that they feel like they've lost from that habit. Your mind and body feel like it needs to do something to occupy that time. So a lot of people start eating. You see like people that are recently trying to quit have a bunch of sunflower seeds, a bunch of snacks constantly. You know, it is, and people tend to gain a lot of weight from it. And it just, that's just that's one thing to do with it. And I don't really know any other real strong like mental changes that people do, or like strong mental things that people go through. The only thing I know is that people really gain a lot of weight, and what I went through was my mind actually working negative against it. So I know there's different things that people go through physically and mentally, it seems like, but it seems like there is a generalization around it. There is a generalization. Now there are some people who are like, as soon as they quit, they have no fucking symptoms, no withdrawals. It seems like they never even smoked or did anything within the day. Shit happens. Hey, whatever. You know? So, hey, that's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. I just thought I'd just share this little tidbit of good news and everything. I just thought about it when I was running, and can honestly say it also helped a little bit financially, you know? So, even though it seemed like I can't remember how much a can of Grizzly Wintergreen cost at the time. I wasn't spending that every 2-3 days getting a new can. I don't think I did that much either. But I wasn't spending that much to get a new can or a new sleeve. But it did help a little bit financially, and it will help people financially who do smoke and dip, because that shit does start getting expensive. The taxes on the damn things are crazy, because people are going to want to buy their cigarettes and tobacco products. It's just a given. So states want to get in a piece of the pie of your bad habit. So, and let's admit it, it's a bad habit. It's not something you should do regularly. Now, I don't have a problem with you do it if you do it. Now, I don't think there's a problem with people if you do it occasionally. Like, for instance, you get a cigar, or a buddy brings like a pipe tobacco. Hey, that sounds pretty legit, pretty cool, I guess, to do it like once in a blue moon, you know, like a celebration or something. But I personally won't do it again, mainly because, like I said, my mental aspect of it is really affecting my physical aspect of it, and it literally makes me a little sick from it. So I probably won't do it even if I was offered it, because, like I said, I will literally get sick from it. But I don't see a problem with it as long as it doesn't become a habit. I think people, since people have such a strong misconception of it, is because most of the time it's a habit that people brought on doing it. Now, if it's like for something like a celebration, like I said, let's say your buddy or your girlfriend is getting married, and you're like, cigars, you know, that's a cool little tidbit thing. And it's not like if you're a non-smoker, you're gonna really, hell, even if you're a smoker, it seems like you're not gonna really be able to power through a whole entire cigar. That's just not gonna happen. It will make you sicker than hell. So like I said, it's not like it's I know everybody reads the adverse effects of smoking and dipping, etc., and it has a bad name. It's had a bad name for a while because of the adverse health effects that it has. But a lot of other things also have adverse health effects that do not seem to get that negative type of publicity as cigarettes do, or tobacco products do. I personally won't do tobacco again, because it just, like I said, I get a physical withdrawal from it. And also the fact that I can brag about it for a little bit, you know, brag about it to some people, be like, I've quit for over 2 years. I've quit tobacco for over 2 years. Now I know there's some folks that never did tobacco and stuff, they're like, well, I just never did it before. Hey, good on you. Good on you. I wasn't one of those few. So, hey, it is what it is. So, if you guys would, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to share a good bit of tidbit news, because I personally think it's exciting that I've quit it. And for those out there thinking about quitting, I would say, hey, try it. Might as well. Some people are going to find it easy. Some people are not going to find it easy. So might as well, you know. I mean, give yourself, you know, try it. See how you do. You know. So, oh yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. I know this wasn't a very exciting video, but hell, it was a little bit exciting to me, because I quit tobacco for over 2 years so far, and I'm super happy. But I'm gonna go off and get off to work here because I've got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed, etc., etc. I gotta do what I gotta do, you know, stand on that corner, show a little leg, etc. But I'm gonna let you guys go, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And if you guys would, give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and look forward to the next video. And as always, work hard. Peace.